got a fear of heights, definitely don't look at this video. And if you didn't have a fear of heights, well, you probably do now. But a team from Oxford University reckons they might be able to cure you.
This building has 10 floors. Imagine you're standing on a balcony overlooking the atrium.
The uni's virtual reality program guides you around a 10-storey building with an open atrium. Users go up elevators, throw balls into an abyss, and even lean over a ledge to rescue a cat, which might not be ideal for anyone with a fear of cats. The study divided 100 volunteers into two groups. The focus group undertook the VR therapy and the control group was given traditional therapy. At the end of the treatment, none of the control group had reported a drop in fear compared to 69% of the focus group. Nice.
What VR can enable you to do is relearn that actually you're safe in the situations you fear. And that enables you to do things you wouldn't normally do in the real world. But all the scientific data says that the learning that you make in VR does transfer into the real world.
Researchers have been keen on VR for years. In Australia, Sydney's St Vincent's has used VR to treat chronic pain, and the University of Melbourne has been studying the benefits of VR in cases of psychosis, depression and more. Promising news for anyone hoping to overcome their fears back in the real world.
This would have been simply impossible 3 months ago. I wouldn't even have attempted this.
Corey Ackland is the clinical director at the Sydney Phobia Clinic and uses VR to help patients overcome their fears. Corey, you've been doing this for a while. How successful is it?
We've seen some really great results and, you know, much greater than what we might otherwise see in a short period of time with normal psychological therapy. And I think it's just because it really extends what we can bring into treatment with all of the virtual environments.
So, Corey, I did do this with you, just coincidentally, and I think it did help me with my anxiety around heights, but I don't actually understand why, because there's a clear difference between virtual reality and the actual thing. Why does it work?
Yeah, look, well, in some cases we do distinguish those environments quite clearly. And in that case, the virtual reality exposure doesn't work as well. But very often, because there is so much fear that has generalised across these situations, people typically do find a great similarity in the learning achieved in a virtual environment as it generalises to the real environment.
So, Corey, does it help some phobias and maybe not others? Because I've got to be honest, I've got a phobia of virtual reality and goggles, so...
Well, then in that case, this is probably perfect. We do find that particularly the phobias, medical phobias and fear of flying, these are things probably best served by the virtual experiences because, as you can imagine, there are just a number of barriers to get the gradual and repeated practice that we would like with those environments.
What scares you about virtual reality?
Well, it's not real reality. That's weird, bro.
Corey, what about clowns? A lot of people have fear of clowns, which I think is actually fair enough, to be honest. Would this help?
Look, it can certainly help. I mean, it's just one tool that we use in therapy. So if we use the example of a fear of clowns, we would probably start with pictures of clowns, moving up to videos of clowns, and then the virtual clowns, and then we'd be looking for some real-life clowns just to make sure that the treatment effect was sound.
Oh, I love that moment. That's it. Bring in the clowns. Bring them in.
But also, you have to give the clowns a head up. If they walked into a room just full of people who's going, oh, no, this is still freaking me out.
Yeah. Bit of Barbara Streisand, hey?
Hey, so, Corey, but is the idea basically to trick the person into feeling that no fear where they once did?
Look, it's not about tricking, but certainly what we're trying to use those virtual environments for are practice of the real situation. So what we would be hoping is that the client is relying on strategies to manage the virtual experience in a way that would then generalise to the real life experience. So, for example, we would want to be getting learning in the virtual environment about the facts, the evidence and our ability to cope, rather than relying on the it's not real to get us through.
Right. Thanks so much, Corey. Fascinating stuff.
Wonderful. Thanks so much.